Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. Our next tower is a very interesting one. This is mid-path heli with the special Poperations, the Chinook, and the downdraft. So let's get right into this one. Starting off with the Chinook, this is a ceramic support tower, and it's going to keep this way for the next three ones, with the Chinook being ceramic support and having a weird moving ability. The special Poperations has ceramic support moving ability and now does late game damage too. So it's all like adding on to the next path after that. So here are the stats. As always, you can pause them to see each one, but the downdraft, it's pretty interesting. It used to be really strong, like one of the best towers, then it got nerfed a whole bunch, so now it's not as strong. And also something that you'll notice is that in one of the recordings here, like OBS kind of just freaked out and started like shifting everywhere, so you might notice that a bit. It's only for this video, so bear with me with that one, unfortunately. But anyways, the downdraft, it got a buff recently, so it's not that bad now. And the Chinook got a stronger downdraft, so that's cool too. And Marine is just Marine, he's very cool. Now looking at the Crosspaths, you want to get the OX2 Crosspaths, so 032, 042, 052. This is going to make the downdraft stronger, and the Marine will be able to shoot faster. Now for the downdraft itself, if you're lazy and on a single lane map, which is completely fine, you could get 230, and that will do fairly well. It's just if you don't want to micro, otherwise you are going to have to micro. Now for support, you don't really need much of support at all. These guys don't really gather much from support. You can get jungle drums, I guess, but you're probably going to have that anyways, and it works well on any map, which is pretty cool because you can move this guy all around. And for the Marine, you can just place the Marine wherever, so it's not like going to be dependent on some certain maps, which is really nice. A lot of towers don't have the luxury of being able to just work wherever, so that's really cool. Its strengths is that it has ceramic support that can be moved anywhere. It has a lot of user control, great damage, and its weakness is that it's high skill and takes a lot of micro. There's no particular hero that needs its very general damage and support with the ceramics, so that's all. Now moving on to the objectives, we're just going to be looking at the downdraft ceramic support, the Chinook utility, I'm going to mention that only, and the Marine late game. So starting off in this example, I will be going for a Marine, just having that, pairing it with another tier 5, which will be the Century Champion. Just going to be doing some general damage, throw Pat in there, why not, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So the downdraft, as you probably can tell, it doesn't do a lot of damage, so we're going to be needing something, complete carry in the early game. You'll be able to have it up doing some support for like the mid game and all that. You could even use it to take out round 40, which is an interesting idea, where you just kind of take out only the shell of the mob, and then downdraft will shoot all the ceramics back. So that's something that you'll see a lot, but other than that, it's not going to have much use in the early game. So we're just going to have Pat, we're going to have the sub, I'm going to get this guy up to a reactor, and I'm going to start working on the Century Champion there. That's another kind of interesting point if you never really think about playing like that. If you're going to be going for like another tier 5 later on, like the Century Champion, you might as well use the Century Expert to take out the early game, because you're not going to be wasting cash then. It's going to do good damage, it's going to take everything out for us. This reactor is going to deal with all the balloons in the early game. We'll get that deal with 40. We can use Pat's Roar, and that thing is going to go down. So we'll grab the Century Expert up here. It's going to work out very well with Pat. Got to decide where to place it. Get a 420, get a village in there, and that's good. Now, talking about the downdraft, as I said, it used to be like one of the best towers that got nerfed. People didn't really like using it as much. I still actually kind of liked using it, but it got buffed recently, so now it's a bit better. And I'm going to be just putting it on lock in place here. And now this is just because like playing games of Chimps mode to me is kind of boring, because like I've done it all the time. Yeah, I'm really engaged when I'm doing like extremely hard challenges, so I'm not like actually engaged in these games while I'm doing them. I'm just like watching Twitch streams, so I'm not really going to be microing here, sadly. But so I'll just keep it in lock in place. You can micro it to get more of its capability out, definitely, but in this case I'm not. So I'm just gonna get spines here to kind of carry through the mid game a bit. Might do a little, move it around a little bit. I'll move it to the spine so it's just in a better location ish, but that's going to be good. So with this buff recently, it is better. It's nice, good balanced ceramic support. You also can use it kind of in its best in the late game with the super ceramics because they don't produce children, so it can blow back a lot. Also kind of around like 40 to 60ish range, it's going to also be very good at blowing back. Once you get like past the 60s and like 60 to 79, it really isn't going to do a whole lot just because there's so many balloons and so many children. It tends to get overwhelmed a lot. So with that in mind, I'm definitely going to need the spike mines. The Sentry Expert and Pat will also be doing a lot of work, particularly because this isn't like the hardest map. So I'm going to be doing something pretty interesting here. I'm going to be getting Sentry Champion, and I still only have the downdraft. So this Marine is going to come into play later, and that's because this thing is expensive and it just doesn't really do any damage until that point. I still have to buy Chinook and the other 32k for the Marine. So saving up to 43k, I just wasn't really feeling it. Probably could have done it, but I decided not to. We'll get it later, but with all the stamina up, and now that we're going into the late game, which is going to make, well, past around 80, which is going to make the downdraft even better, I should have all the power that I need to be able to do that, and I'll get the Chinook there, which will buff the downdraft even more. It will give me way more downdraft power, so I should be able to cruise right into the Marine. Once I have the Marine, I'm just going to place the Marine down, and it's going to be doing a lot of damage. Very cool, very easy, and just need to grab something for 100, some very general support like Relentless Glue, throw that in there, and it's going to be doing great. Now, the thing about Chinook is that it has like a lot more downdraft power, but it isn't worth it getting Chinook just for that. If anything, just like get a Snowstorm instead, you're going to be doing way better. But it does have the ability to move towers, which is a pretty interesting gimmick, although in like standard Black Border gameplay, this really isn't that useful. And if you are finding a situation where it's useful for a very standard Black Border, then you're probably doing something like that's not really efficient at all in the first place. In challenges, this can be used. You'll see it a lot in like 2 mega pops and like 2 NPCs, that kind of stuff. But just for standard gameplay, I don't really see a point in it. Like, you could say like you can use it to Chinook around a permabrew, but at that point, like, why do you need so much permabrew for one Chimps game? And you could also say you could Chinook a permaspike around, but then at that point, just like literally do anything else, and you'll get like a Black Border that's actually doesn't involve a bajillion thought and reason. But besides that, and like the challenges, there really isn't like much purpose for it. Again, if you're doing just like a standard Black Border, you'll see it in the challenges, but not really much else besides that. So that's just kind of my thought and take. If there's like something that I'm crucially missing, I guess you could let me know. But I thought about this for like 15 minutes while I was going on a walk. I'm like, yeah, there's like not really much you would get Chinook for. I don't think I ever actually use it in a serious Black Border, but yeah. Anyways, there you go. I brought it off lock in place to do a little bit of micro, just got some support in there, helped out that Sentry Expert for strike time, and we get a Chinook insta. How fitting. Oh, and it's the right Crosspath too. Just needed that extra upgrade. But yeah, let's move on to next showcase, and this is just showcasing the children. So if we have some ceramics, send out a bunch of ceramics, the downdraft kind of struggles because they split into a bunch of children. However, when they're super ceramics, check this out, they aren't going to do that, and downdraft will just be able to constantly push them back. And then when they eventually do open them up, they're not going to be filled with children, and the downdraft can still keep control of all of these ceramics. So it's super good, much better there. This is kind of why it's good for round like 40 through 60, and then past that doesn't really do much. And then once you get to round 81 and plus, it's going to be able to do a lot more. Chinook kind of just enhances that too. Same with special Poperations, and it's actually really good with Chinook. So if you have a special Poperations down, you'll be able to do that. And then I guess in this video I showcased moving. guess I was going to talk about that moving there then, but I already mentioned that. So let's get right to the next example. So moving on, I have an example of using the downdraft, which is in a way that a lot of people might not have like thought about. So this could actually be pretty interesting for a bunch of people. So I just have a bunch of junk here, like none of this really is important. What the important tower is the sniper. It's going to become an elite defender, but the whole idea is that you can use downdraft, and I'm just going to have a pursuit downdraft here because I'm lazy. Again, I was doing this while watching like a Twitch stream along with pretty much like every single other of these example videos. So not going to be doing the manual micro. I'll just be showing, I guess, that downdraft is a suitable option, but the idea is that downdraft will be able to clump up from any position on the track, which is something that no other like ceramic support tower can do. It will be able to clump up balloons into one more condensed area. Now the whole idea with this is that at any point on the given track you could make use of Pierce from global range, or I guess even towers in range better, but it's mostly global range towers, because if you have something with like kind of smaller range, even I guess a larger range tower, but something with a smaller range, you could do the same thing with a balloon impact, where you could clump the balloons up and use its Pierce better. But if you have a global range tower, balloon impact's not going to be able to do that. So with like snipers, subs, that kind of stuff, we're going to be able to use the downdraft to kind of push everything forward and make the Pierce being used better, which will actually greatly enhance the power of this elite defender, which is pretty crazy. So we're going to be taking this guy with just like one Alec buffed elite defender. This guy usually isn't like known as the best way to deal with some of these rounds, but we're going to be pushing him very far, making him a lot stronger with just this one downdraft. Especially when the super ceramics come in, the downdraft is going to be making sure that the elite defender doesn't just like go off randomly chasing one stupid super ceramic. Instead, it's going to keep all of them together. Instead of shooting one ceramic, it's going to be able to shoot like 12 of them at once. You're going to be doing way better, and it's going to save up a lot. And with that, you could buy practically anything with that save up, a huge save up indeed. So let's just see where it takes us. I'm going to be skipping forward a whole bunch just to showcase. I have Corvus here. As I said, I wasn't going to really do much micro, so I don't do a whole lot with Corvus. For some later rounds, I try to push it a bit further. I should have brought like a different hero though. Anyways, we're going on to 79. We reached 50k, but that's pretty simple. That will allow you to buy a lot of stuff. Like you can buy most tier 5s. You can even buy 2 cheaper tier 5s with this, but the 80s will be doing just fine here. So as you can see, you don't really see like the ceramics in the front a lot. It's usually like Moabs in the front, maybe for just like a little bit. That's because the ceramics aren't being able to push forward. Now let's just use some Geraldo items, and that will, no, not Geraldo, this is Corvus. What am I thinking? That will be able to deal with things just fine. Round 84, all that stuff is going to go down, and I'm going to push into 85 with this. So now 85 is usually where your mid game save up is just gonna absolutely die. Like most everything, pretty much everything isn't going to be able to deal with that, and you should kind of expect that. You aren't usually going to be able to go past 85 unless you have a Zeely, which is a pretty interesting thing I'll talk about then. But this, we're still going. Even with using just a few Corvus items, again, some people might say it's just like Corvus is doing a whole lot here. Not really doing, I'm just using like a few items here and there. Another hero would very easily be able to replicate what I'm doing with Corvus, and I go all the way until round 90 with like 88,000 cash spare, which is very good. So it enhanced the elite defender so much that I was able to buy just like whatever the hell I wanted. I get a max degree Orca, which is a very expensive tower, by the way. You have to buy four $20,000 something towers to get the max degree Orca, and I could push into Megalodon. I just got like a super glue though, so I can not like die to DDTs, make everything pretty easy, and that's just an insane addition to making some of these towers so much stronger. So if you're doing like a black border, you could just get like elite defender, throw in a downdraft there, and push in so far. Even a pursuit downdraft, you don't have to worry about it. You could buy like pretty much anything on most single lane maps. So that's a really cool thing you can do. Try it out in Chimps mode. maybe it will work out well for you. Let me know. Anyways, bye. Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!